All right, so welcome everyone to the session. Glad you could all make it. So we're just going to go straight in. We've done our sharing and our check-in. So we're going to go straight into our. Let's have a look at the email. Let me just get the live stream going. So you know, if you click on a link in the email, which I put there underneath the live session, it'll take you straight into the live stream, because I just do a little redirect thing, and then it will redirect you straight into the latest live stream. So if ever you want to find any of the latest live streams, just go to your email for that day and click on the link to listen to the recording of the live session. Okay, so let's share my screen. Let's get that up and running. Okay, good. All right, so we're going to have a look at the quotes, a little bit of teaching around that, and then go into the lesson, read and practice, discuss the lesson, meditate on it, and we'll do the 10th pathway as well today, and that'll be the session. Okay, so yeah, I just asked, everyone done? If you haven't done exercises 1 to 4 yet, which is pages 44 to 46, the course manual, then try and finish them this week. If you can't get the exercise 2, you can't get the answer, I'll show that to you on Sunday. So give it a go. If you haven't got it by then I'll reveal it, because we have to move on to the next one, which is the Name Your Game. So just try and finish those this week. So there's a couple of recordings. That's yesterday's recording. If you want to, you missed it, you can go and look at it. There's another recording for you on Descent into Hell on the way home. Third one, if you really want it, on forgiveness is the key to happiness, and that's quite a short one, with a guided meditation. So some resources there if you want to dive in. Okay, so this quote, let's ask someone to read the quote actually. Good. Be not the slave of your own past. Plunge into the sublime seas. Who would like to read that?
Read that.
Yeah. It's really synchronistic again with the releasing the past visualization from the morning. Be not the slave of your own past. Plunge into the sublime seas. Dive deep and swim far, so you shall come back with new self-respect, with new power, and with an advanced experience that shall explain and overlook the old. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Yeah.
It's a great quote. He was an American writer and poet, philosopher, one of the leaders of what was called the Transcendentalist movement in the 1800s in the US. He was tapping in. Transcendentalists they were trying to transcend this reality, plunge into the sublime seas, dive deep and swim far. It's talking about going into your mind. So when people say this stuff's new age, it's been going on a very long time. There's just various iterations, different versions of it, in different eras and different generations. The Transcendentalists was just another approach to this, problem of the human condition and how to transcend it. And it's the focus on the past, saying, let go of the past. Be not the slave of your own past. Governed by your past experiences and conditioning. you can go beyond it into these sublime seas, which is the pure presence of source, where you can, and you'll come back with new self-respect, new power, and advanced experience. It shall explain and overlook the old. So there's the idea of overlooking, or forgiving, or letting go of the old experiences and the old self-concept. Really, that's what we're trying to let go of, that old self-concept. So to that end, let's have a look at the lesson, shall we? Which is all about the past. So the mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. This one is. So I think let's read it. There's a bit of teaching on it, and then I'll guide you through the practice of it in a meditation once we've read and discussed it. So who would like to read paragraph 1? John?
Yeah. My mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. This idea is, of course, the reason why you see only the past. No one really sees anything. He sees only his thoughts projected outward. The mind's preoccupation with the past is the cause of misconception about time from which your seeing suffers. Your mind cannot grasp the present, which is the only time there is. It therefore cannot understand time, and cannot, in fact, understand anything.
Okay, so thoughts about that? Sees only his thoughts projected outwards.
Yeah, I think what strikes me here is this idea we had yesterday of time is actually, I always thought time was part of the illusion, but yesterday it kind of came up that time is, that spirit is in charge of time, which was a learning point for me, actually.
Yeah, well, spirit reinterprets time and tells you that there is no time. Now, remember, time is an illusion. It doesn't really exist. There's only now. So the ego's conception of time is a huge part of the illusion. The spirit just reinterprets that and says there really is no past and future. It's only ever now. It only ever has been now. So this past future, thing going on in your mind is just not true.
I think it's quite remarkable how difficult it is to stay in the now, actually. Yeah, even when I feel as though I'm present in a non-stressful situation, my mind very quickly finds something.
Yeah, it does. It likes the past future channel. If you look at harmonic consciousness, as long as you think time is linear, you're on the timeline. You're in the ego's domain. So it doesn't want you to know that there's only ever now, and that this awareness, pure formless awareness, is right here now. It's available to you right now. It wants to keep you away from that. So time is one of its great weapons to do that. Focus on the past, focus on the future, and never on the present moment, which is just now. So your mind is very busy in the past and the future. Lots of thoughts going on, which covers over your pure formless awareness, which is really beyond thought.
And I think the other thing that came up yesterday, which was interesting, was that when we are in the past or the future, it is actually dead time. It serves no purpose.
Yeah, I agree with that. Some people would say, well, what about planning for the future and making provisions and this kind of stuff? But really you can just do that now. You know, whatever you're doing, you do it very presently. You go, okay, well, let's say I've got a trip going on. Okay, well, I'll go book the ticket now and I'll make the preparations now. So you're in the now doing whatever you need to do. We're talking about the difference in the psychological time and practical time. Practical time's okay, I've got a trip, I'm going somewhere in April. Yeah, better just check it out, find somewhere to stay, book a flight, this kind of thing. And then you could do that very presently, you know, actually quite enjoy the experience of doing it without really projecting into the future. Psychological time would be, oh, you know, I'm time's getting closer and I'm really looking forward to it and I'm excited because it's coming and it takes me into the future, you know, thought of, you know, something to come. That would be a psychological time. Or there's a fear. Oh, you know, what happens if it doesn't work out and our plane's delayed, or, you know, this is accommodation we never stayed in. What happens if the accommodation is dodgy? And then you go out of the now and you know, you're thinking about some possible eventuality in the future and you're not present. So that's psychological time. Practical time would be, okay, I know, you know, if I'm going on a trip, I need to make some preparations, do whatever, but I can do that very presently without thinking about the future when I'm doing it. I can just presently book the tickets and, do you see what I mean? So that's actually how you manage it. It's a psychological time that's the problem, because that takes you out of the now, disconnects you from your source, which is only ever now, and now you're caught up on the timeline, which doesn't feel good at all, because it's a thought system of fear, guilt, sin, fear, attack, hatred, and death. That's what's on the timeline. That's what you'll experience, you know, more often than not. Okay, I'm just looking at this. I don't think it needed translation, but I think we should do a little translation of this, maybe. In fact, let me get it up in the proper form. Where are we? 362 cause of effect. Okay, so it's going to number 8. Mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. I don't think there's a lot to translate, but I think this first paragraph might benefit from a bit of translation. If we change time into perception, I think that could work actually. Sorry, not time into perception. Seeing into perception. So
it's interesting what you said, John, about time being dead if you're not in the now. I'm still sitting here contemplating that one. In the now, we're in flow, aren't we? So if we go to a past, a future, or past especially, it feels like it's not moving, doesn't it? It's not got flow. The energy is dead. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of a stuck. When you're out of the now, it's a sort of stuck energy, and doesn't feel particularly good. And you'll feel that. So whereas the now is just purely now. I'm just aware, and I can respond. Things can happen, and I can speak and act, but I'm not thinking about the past or the future at all, which is very different from the ego. Okay, so this idea is, of course, the reason why you see. How about we change see to perceive? Yeah, why you perceive only the past. Do you think that works?
I'm just thinking about, just to respond to Sally, I do have all sorts of ways of making the past more interesting.
Yeah, tell us more.
Well, if I do know that I can go around reinventing the past. I mean, and ideas pop up, and I think, well, if I'd have done that, that would have been different.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have been CEO of Unilever, if I'd have done some of the things. If I'd have just
it all out in retrospect.
If I'd have done it 50 years ago. But and that sort of thing is very engaging. It gets interesting.
So you're kind of bringing the past into the now and reinventing it.
And I think I'm kidding myself.
I think you are probably.
Yeah. I mean, it's a subtle game of reinventing the past. So, but it does make it lively. But it does leave
peaceful.
It does leave me with a feeling of
regret,
non-fulfillment.
Yeah.
Because you're judging it as it didn't go how you wanted it to go.
Because it's not going anywhere. It's just in the past. It's a reinvention of the past.
You can really do about
it. It's not invigorating in the sense of I can do something with it. Sometimes, though, if I apply it to, well, how do I do something now equivalent to what I could have done then? That gets a bit more interesting. And
that's then bringing it into the present. You've learned from the past.
Yeah.
Does it bring it into the present, or is it taking it to the future? You're taking the past, reinventing what could be done, and then putting it into the future, how you intend to do it in future.
I don't know, that sounds complicated. If I can figure out what aspect of me was lacking at the time, and think, well, what aspect, how can I execute that? How can I do better this time with that aspect of myself?
Yeah, well, that's not a bad question to ask, because that'll bring you into the present moment. And so then there can be a correction. But if it's just, well, I could have done this and could have done that in the past, no point, because the past is over. There's no corrective element. I think that's really the key. It's got to be some kind of a correction that it brings, which would then bring into the domain of the miracle, if you're actually using it correctively. And you learned from the past, and that helps you to be more functional, happier in the present. That's what we're being asked to do. Learn from it, let it go, but learn from it, so that the lessons are not wasted. You don't keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, as Einstein said. Okay, so maybe just read this line by line in the alternative. I've just changed see to perceive. See if that changes anything for you.
Okay. This idea is, of course, the reason why you perceive only the past. No one really perceives anything. He perceives only his thoughts projected outward. The mind's preoccupation with the past is the cause of the misconception about time from which your perception suffers.
Okay, so just pause it there. Let's discuss some of those ideas. No one really perceives anything. He perceives only his thoughts projected outward. So that's what he's saying, is this is a matrix of thought. We live in a universe of thought, which the quantum physicists have confirmed. A guy called James Jeans, who was an early quantum physicist, and he's got a great quote that the universe begins to look more like a great thought than a great machine. So quantum mechanics is saying exactly this. We're perceiving only our thoughts projected outward. They seem to be real, and it takes a form that seems to be real. This is the cleverness of the illusion, but actually it's all a thought system that has been projected out, and then that seems to manifest in the people and events and experiences that we perceive. Projection of thought and then perception, and that loop, that feedback loop, is what makes the illusion. And then he introduces the idea of the past, the mind's preoccupation with the past, causes a misconception about time from which your perception suffers. So if you're preoccupied with the past and you've got a past self, a self-concept based on your past experiences going on, then you are preoccupied with the past. And you will bring that past into your current perception. The misconception about time from which your perception suffers. Because we think that the past is still alive, it's still current and present. And so we bring it in to the present, and then that in turn influences the future, creates the future. But actually the past is over, as he goes on to tell us. So it's a misconception. Idea that the past is real.
Isn't it like that we leave every memory where we last thought it? So when you think, I don't know, if John's thinking about playing golf or something, and he thinks, oh, I fluffed mine, took 10 shots to get it in such and such hole. And then he reflects on it like he's talking about, or reflect on it and say, well, I could have done that. I could have used a different club and all this sort of thing. And I could have got it in quicker. So next time he goes and plays golf, he brings in that thought and it changes his perception, his memory of what has been in the past. So it's like a new jumping off point.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Because
mm-hmm.
So then you can build a better present because you've got an experience in your mind of having done a good job last time, even though it's an illusion. You know what I mean? Does that not make sense to anyone else except me?
Well, if you correct, you can correct retroactively. You can correct retroactively. So you could, let's say, you had a bad experience on the golf course, and had a shocking round or just a shocking hole or two. Instead of dwelling on that, you could just let it go and say, okay, well, it happens. But that doesn't mean that I'm a bad golfer. I let go of any negative thoughts and emotions around it. So I'm cleaning the past.
Mm.
So I don't bring that now into my next round of golf with me because I've let that go. I'm now clear, empty, open. I can be in flow without the past influencing it. And in sport and other arenas, but sport, we see it particularly. If you're really in the now, you're going to perform well. You're clear. There's just awareness is directing you. There's none of that interference coming from past programming. That's the essence of the flow, or the zone state, as they call it sometimes. No past, no future, no time. You're just in pure awareness, and awareness is directing your actions. So it's a non-conceptual intelligence that's come in, and you'll notice in yourself, and if you observe, professional sportsmen playing their sport, you can see when the mind comes in and blocks that flow, can't you? I find it fascinating to watch sport because you can see the mind game playing out, and how that immediately influences the outcome. You see, let's say someone's playing Wimbledon, and he's really in flow, and he has a couple of games. It's like he's on fire, and the other guy's struggling, and then you can just kind of see it can turn. The guy could be like one game away from winning the set or the match, and then what you see is his mind starts playing tricks with him. He starts going, "Oh, I'm one game away from winning," especially if he's playing a player who's better, so-called better, higher ranked than him. I'm one game away from winning, and he starts to just put a bit of pressure on himself because he's thinking about the future. Then he's thinking about winning the set, and then you see immediately his suddenly just tightens up, and his shots aren't as fluid as they were before. And you can observe that, and there's those kind of mind patterns that then direct the outcome of the game, of the match. Was those who can stay in the flow, they don't get affected. They can stay, no reference to the past. So past mistakes, their previous point, they've made a mistake, they just let it go. There's no they're purely present, and they're not thinking about the future. They're not going, oh well, one game away from winning, or they're just present moment oriented. Those are the guys who will perform the best, because they're able to stay in flow more often. So it's a mind game, absolutely a mind game. And in that arena in sport, you can see the results so clearly, immediately. But
already sending us a message.
okay. Where?
The now clock in her Zoom square, in her picture.
Oh, right. Okay. Let's have a look. Where are we? Oh, right. Okay.
I shared
And
that
how
on my Instagram. I can't even remember when that was.
Okay. Cool.
2019. It was about now. It was a good one to be now, in the now. A
So it's all
reminder.
now.
A
Yeah.
reminder to be in the now.
Now clock. Great. Yeah.
Now
I'll
clock.
post it to the group if you like.
Yeah, I'll do a screenshot. I'm sure I can do that.
Mm.
Because I don't know where that
Okay.
now is. Now. But I'll
Yeah.
take a screenshot.
Yeah. Your mind cannot grasp the present. Do you want to carry on, John? Read number 5.
Yeah. That your mind cannot grasp the present, which is the only time there is. It therefore cannot understand time and cannot, in fact, understand anything.
Okay. So pretty clear. Can't really understand anything. You can't grasp the present, which is true reality. Present. Remember, the present moment is the closest approximation of eternity in this world that you can find. You cannot grasp the present. You don't know reality. You're out of reality. You're in an illusion. The present, the only time there is, which is no time. There is no time in the present. It just is. So your mind therefore cannot understand time, because this is the only time there is. And it cannot in fact understand anything. It's pretty categoric. Okay, I don't
Going back
understand
to
anything
what John was talking about, or I was talking about jumping off from old memories. So a lot of us might have childhood memories about ourselves, and we are left with that that belief system about ourselves. And there sometimes feels like there's no way to go back in time and change that childhood event, because it feels like that was then, this is now. So I was just thinking about how you could change those childhood memories, obviously letting go. But yeah, and then I was thinking, I think that's what's happened to me about relationships, having a new relationship, that I had an end of a marriage that didn't feel so good. And then I didn't want to have another relationship because I didn't want to go from that point of a bad memory, not such a comfortable experience, into a new relationship. I couldn't do the bounce between, the old memory to a new experience in the now. I've done it now, but I can see now this conversation has made that clearer to me, that our reference points about ourselves in our seeming past can sometimes make it impossible to recreate what we want in the now.
Christine says, sure, there's regression therapy. You change the script and then bring it to the present.
Yeah, it can do.
So you let go of those thoughts and emotions. That's really all you can do. Right now, you've got thoughts and emotions that are clouding your present moment awareness. So you can let those go. So it's a present letting go based on past misperception, but you're experiencing those negative thoughts and emotions right now, which then clouds your awareness of your true self in the present moment. So letting go was always happening right now. You just let go of your current reactions to past memories. Do you see that? Current reactions to past memories. So the memory triggers the mental emotional reaction, and then you experience it presently. So it's now a present block to the awareness of love's presence, and all you can do is let it go presently. Well, I don't want to experience this. You do that by letting go of the importance that you've given to the past. Because as long as you value it and it's important to you and you make it real, then those kinds of thoughts and emotions are going to continue, aren't they? So he's saying, don't value what is valueless. Recognize that it's all, anything that you've experienced in your past is over, and it's ultimately an illusion, that it is not here. So the one holy true thought So who would like to read paragraph 2?
I will.
Yeah, number 2.
The one wholly true thought one can hold about the past is that it is not here. To think about it at all is therefore to think about illusion. Very few have realized what is actually entailed in picturing the past or in anticipating the future. The mind is actually blank when it does this. It's not really thinking about anything.
Yeah, very interesting. So what do you make of that? One holy true thought we can hold about the past is that it is not here.
Yeah, fascinating. Like the
Because
picture.
it isn't. What is it? Past is a memory, that's all. It's a memory in your mind. So there's this mental experience going, we call it memory. And the memory brings up thoughts and emotions. You might have pictures, thoughts, emotions. It's a whole experience that's going on based purely on, it's internal. It's just a memory of what seemed to happen. So it's a memory of a dream. A memory of a dream that seems to have this power to change our current state, cover over our true awareness with all these other thoughts and emotions. And he's saying, well, just see that it's not here. Can you see the past? Can you prove the past even happened? It's very illusory, isn't it? You have a memory in your mind. But if it's all a dream, it's a memory of a dream that never happened. Now, the memory of the dream that never happened comes into the present moment and tells you that's important. And now you need to have more thoughts and emotions about this dream experience now to cover over the present moment. And to think about it at all is to think about illusions.
I was going to say, one of the therapies I trained in essentially taught that when the emotional charge is gone, then the memory doesn't affect you, and it fades. It distances itself. So while the memory is still there, feeling real, feeling like it's it's still in the present moment in some way, it's because there's still emotion attached to it and trauma. And that can be very.
It's a good rule of thumb. Yeah, it's emotional attachment. So if there's some experiences in your past, well, it wasn't a big deal. It was no emotion. You can, if you brought that to mind, they're like, well, whatever. It's not a trigger for anything. But there's some that you think of it, and then immediately the emotion comes up, and then that present emotion clouds your true awareness, right? In that moment, and the ego will use that. If it goes, oh, okay, well, that's going to work to cloud your true awareness. It's going to use that repeatedly, try and get you to go back to those traumatic experiences, to bring up the painful emotions. Then you dwell in them. The more you think about them, the more you stew in your own juices, and there's no escape because the past is done. You can't fix it. You can't change it. So yeah, she's saying to us, just remind yourself it didn't really happen. So it's not here. It's not here now. So whatever emotions you're having about it are not here either. They must also be illusion. A memory of an illusion that triggers thoughts and emotions. Those thoughts and emotions must also be illusory then. So to think about it at all is therefore to think about illusions at all. Thinking about an illusion that never really happened. It's on your timeline, it's in your past history, your story, but that's a story that never really happened. It's not real. There is really only pure formless awareness of perfect love.
I think you can kind of get a reflection of that if you talk about past experiences with people that were part of the experience. Everybody's recollection of it is often different.
Yeah, very different. Yeah, different because it's perceptual.
Yeah.
Their experience was based on their unique perspective. They had a different experience from someone else, and then even if it was a very similar experience, they'll perceive it differently, have a different interpretation of it, depending on their mindset, how they're wired up at the time, their life experiences, state of mind they're in, and and so on. And that's why, with eyewitness accounts, the police will tell you it's very difficult to get consistent accounts from people, because the people witnessing the same thing will give you a very different account of it, because they perceive it differently. So it's in the domain of illusion, saying this doesn't, the past doesn't really exist. It was an illusion when you experienced it, and now it's a double illusion because you're remembering. It's just a memory of what never happened. That's all the past is. And now you let that cloud your present moment awareness of perfect love, which isn't very smart. But he's saying, the remedy is just remember that the truth. The past is not here. The past is nowhere. So thinking about the past, I'm thinking about nothing. And my mind is really a blank, as he says. Mine is actually blank when it does this, because it's not really thinking about anything.
You shared about Marisa Peer, about the beliefs.
Yeah.
It was amazing because she actually goes back to heal someone who's alcoholic into his past. And she make him realize that, so she takes him back to when he was 7. So she asked him to think about a time where, he felt he wasn't loved. So that was the issue. He lack of love, obviously. And so she takes him back. He was 7 years old, and he said, I was not loved. I'm not loved. No, I'm not lovable. No one loves me. I don't understand why no one loves me. And yes, she makes him realize that he's got all these money, all these things, material stuff that he was able to get together, success, like professional success. But then he never had love. He was saying he doesn't have anyone in his life because he never had love. And so she makes him realize that he's lacked love all his life because he's focused on the lack of love. So it's amazing that it's like the time or age regression so we carry on those past thoughts and emotions, those beliefs that we are not lovable, that we're not loved, and we carry it all our lives. That's why we don't attract love in our lives, because we don't focus on love.
Yeah, and you have a past belief that you're not lovable. Well, if with that belief, then you're going to manifest situations that prove that the belief is true.
Exactly.
You are not lovable.
Yeah, so that
and then we wonder why we don't experience, love. Well, it's past programming, and so the work is to go and uncover that. Look at that programming, which is what she did with him, and then let it go, because it's current programming. It may be based on the past. You had an experience, often a trauma, which sort of entrenched that program in your mind. But it's a present, program. It's a present block.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you can
because he
also choose
carried
to
on
let it
that
go.
belief all his life that he was
Mm.
unlovable or that he
Oh,
he wasn't loved. You carry on that belief up until now, until you decide to choose to stop
I mean,
believing in that
yeah.
or letting go of that belief. Yeah.
Oh,
Powerful.
yeah.
Very
Which is
powerful.
the only way. You must change
Yeah.
your mind. There's no other way. No one's going to do it for you. It's a simple choice of choosing another belief system, which is much more functional, which actually works.
Mm.
Rather than the past future channel really doesn't work. It'll never bring you, the satisfaction and fulfillment. You can be motivated. So that guy, I remember that story. He's a sort of multi-millionaire. He built a property empire, hadn't he? And
Yeah.
because he lacked love, he was trying to seek what he lacked in his career and in his material success. And so he was motivated to work really hard to get the love he wanted. But then, I think he was in his 60s when she saw him. He sort of realized, I think he'd come to the realization it wasn't going to work. Because he'd done all this and he had all the money, but he was still quite miserable and lonely. And so then he
A lot
drank
of addictions, as well.
he drank to try and fill that hole.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all she was doing was reminding him of the truth.
Yeah.
Going back to the very core of his self-concept and correcting it there. And that's why her stuff works.
Yeah.
She gets really good results because she's going to the very core
Root cause.
and not fiddling around with anything other than the core belief of that person, because that's where the problem lies. And other therapists don't do that. So well, I don't know why they don't, but because they don't get trained for whatever reason to look at that.
I can think of one apparent to me exception to that. And I completely get that thinking in the past or the future is a waste of time. But I know that in the past, when I've had a difficult relationship with somebody, for example, in some sort of business meeting, and I've come away thinking niggly about it. If I clear on it, and then if I hold them in the light, rest assured, the next time I meet them, it goes really well. So it's like having the investment is holding them in the light, transforms the feeling in me, perhaps maybe that's what it's doing. And therefore I get a different result when I actually go into the meeting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not thinking about the future, it's actually transforming something within
very presently. Transformation only happens now. It's the only time it can happen.
Yeah.
Because you're changing your mind now, bringing them into the light. You're correcting the error. Whatever the error was of separation. You're correcting it now and going into the light now. And that changes the future, which will is when you experience it. It's not the future, it's the now. It changes each now moment. So you only really have to do very simple. You're saying just let go now of whatever it is that's blocking you. You got blocks to awareness of love's presence. Let them go now, because they're currently blocking your awareness of that presence. And if you do that, you will correct the past and you will change the future. By default, that just will happen if you do that, because you're changing fundamentally the self and the self-concept and the thoughts that go into the quantum field. So it rewires everything. So all you have to do is let go presently. That's why it says it's a very simple course. It's not, you don't have to go into complicated ideas and therapies, and just let go presently whatever's arising. You become aware of a block to the awareness of love's presence. Just let it go. Restore your mind to that present moment awareness, and you're doing what you need to do in the situation to heal it. And the past will simply disappear because you're so present. In the future, you're not going to be focused on that. You're just right here, right now. I'm either blocked, somewhat blocked, or I'm clear. I've cleared that. In which case, there's nothing to let go of. I can just flow and enjoy the experience. So do you see what he's saying? It's really, really simple. Just clear whatever block you become aware of now as it arises. And it's a decision. You know, do I want to hold on to this or do I want to let it go? It doesn't matter what past trauma seemed to cause it. It comes down to a present moment decision. Even for, you know, deep-seated traumas, there's still a decision in the mind to hold on to that. Just not maybe brought into conscious awareness. So it's an unconscious choice. Well, then this path of inquiry is about making that choice conscious, recognizing that you do actually have a choice. Okay? So mind is actually blank when it does this. He's saying all of that mental interpolation, the covering, the veil of illusion that covers over the truth is actually nothing. It's blank. It's nothing appearing to be something. That's the illusion. And the void, you know, the space, the blankness, pure formless awareness of perfect love, which doesn't seem to have any, you know, substantial content, it just is actually everything. That's all there really is. That is reality. And the covering over it doesn't exist. Okay. So do you want to give a little summary of that? Who read that? John? Give a little summary of number 2.
Did Sally read it?
Right, John, you do a summary.
I can't remember, it was so long ago.
Okay. Okay. The one I was talking. So the only true thought that we can have is in the now. All else is illusion and a waste of time.
Yeah. And the mind is actually blank when you're thinking about the past or the future. So it's just reframing it. We think that's thought. Thinking about past and future is actually thinking about something. He's saying, no, your mind's actually blank. You're nowhere, and you're thinking about nothing. So that's actually the empty state. The busyness of the mind thinking about past, future is actually blank and empty. And what you perceive as emptiness, you know, the stillness of your true awareness, pure formless awareness of perfect love, is what's full. That's reality. So it's just helping us to invert it, to turn an upside down thought system right side up. But it's quite shocking. When you read this, you go, my goodness, I've been thinking about the past and future my whole life. So what does that mean? My mind's actually been a blank my entire life?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
You weren't really thinking about anything. Much ado about nothing, as you know, the Shakespearean play goes, the title, Much Ado About Nothing. You weren't really thinking about anything. It was just a blank. So complete reinterpretation of the past here. Designed to free you from it, free you from attachment to it. Okay? Number 3. He wants to read number 3. Let's ask Susie, can you read number 3 for us, kindly? purpose of the exercises for today?
The purpose of the exercises for today is to begin to train your mind to recognize when it is not really thinking at all. While thoughtless ideas preoccupy your mind, the truth is blocked. Recognizing that your mind has been merely blank rather than believing that it is filled with real ideas is the first step to opening the way to vision.
Okay. Thoughts about that?
Train your mind to be in that blank space.
Thoughtless ideas. I like that, you know, an idea, but it's a thoughtless idea. So he's really getting us to reconsider what we think of as thought, isn't it? So it's a fundamental relook, changing our mind about our mind. What do we think thought is? So up till now, you've believed thought is, well, I'm thinking about the past, I'm thinking about the future. These are thoughts. Emotions come up. It's all real. Those are real thoughts. And you're saying, no, they're not real thoughts at all. Those thoughts are illusory, false. Your mind's really a blank. You're actually thinking, because you're thinking about nothing. There's nothing that has an appearance of something. Well, what would that be but an illusion? So that's what it all comes down to. It's, you know, it's truth and illusion. What's real and what's not real. So recognize that your mind has merely been blank rather than believing that it's filled with real ideas. It's the first step to opening the way to vision. Vision is true perception. Because if you still believe that, you know, those past and future thoughts are meaningful, you'll keep thinking them and feeling them, won't you? So in order to correct our minds, we must do this correction. We must understand that my mind has really been blank. Actually, I've been thinking about nothing for most of my life. It's quite humbling, really. I thought it was all important and real, but actually none of it was. It was just, it was a delusion. I've been caught up in a delusion.
Busy thinking about nothing.
Yeah, and therein lies the human condition. You know, lost in the busyness of our thoughts and not aware of who we really are. Just lost in a dream world. Human condition, lost in thought. It's a Eckhart Tolle quote. It's very, very simple to the point. That's the condition, lost in thought. Believing that those thoughts are real and true. That's the problem. The thoughts themselves, if they come and they go and you don't believe in them, it's not that much of a problem, is it? Because you just won't respond to them. They come, they arise, they pass away. You watch it all blow through. You're like, well, I don't have to do anything about it. I don't have to react. Danger comes when you identify with those thoughts. Those thoughts now get your mind to behave in certain ways. Okay. So, can you give a little summary of number 3?
Be busy thinking about nothing. Oh gosh, I'm not really good at the purpose of the exercise today is to begin to train your mind and recognize when it's not thinking
That's what we're training. Profound. This is so profoundly life-changing if you get it. Okay, so my whole life I haven't really been thinking. I've been thinking about nothing. That doesn't rock your boat a bit. Nothing will.
It's quite sad, isn't it? Been busy thinking about
Well,
nothing, but made it
It's
so
sad, but
important.
it's liberating because you can realize I don't have to do it anymore. Okay, I don't have to keep doing that. You know, I can actually change my mind now by practicing this idea and being aware of my thoughts. Those thoughts will come still. You know, they're not thoughts. Your thoughts aren't going to just disappear, but they come and they go, and you watch them like a passing procession, quite calmly and dispassionately in a detached way. They don't really have to affect you. You can just observe them. So this is the first step in opening the way to true perception, recognizing that I've been thinking falsely, false thoughts. My mind is merely a blank. Everything I thought was so important is actually just nothing. It's a blank. None of those ideas mean anything. Okay, so just kind of dropped in there. I can feel the presence arising from that. It's profound, just stillness. Drops you into that stillness. So I'm going to guide you through because this is practice. Okay, and you're just going to search your mind. You're going to scan your mind for various thoughts. You're going to name the thought. Seem to be thinking about a person or an object or an emotion and so on. And then you're going to do the correction, but my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. So I'll guide you through a meditation on this now. You okay with that?
Thank you.
All right. So just making yourself comfortable. Getting into your favorite meditation posture. So feet shoulder width apart. Sitting on a chair, back straight. Up your hands in your lap. Close your eyes. And start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. So breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. And the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. And clench the sphincter muscle, you lock the energy in. Draw energy up your spine into your heart center. Put one hand in your heart to connect with your heart space. Bringing your attention fully into the present moment by focusing a little bit on the breath and the subtle sensations of the breath and the body. Breathing in again. And just feel this energy rising up. Spine into the crown of your head. Just pausing at the top of the inhale. So maximum inhale breath. And now you're just going to scan your mind. So Yeshua says, close our eyes because you actually cannot see anything. It's easier to recognize that no matter how vividly you may picture a thought, you're not seeing anything. So with as little investment as possible, search your mind for the usual minute or so. Only noting the thoughts you find there. So name each one by the central figure or theme it contains, and then move on to the next. So breathe in again. Notice the first thoughts seem to be thinking about whatever it is, the person, the object, the emotion, the situation. Just name it and then say to yourself, but my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. And so you're just stating the nature of these thoughts, just preoccupied with all these are called past thoughts. And just blow all of that away with the help of your breath. So exhale. Just releasing with the breath. Releasing the body. Going, all of the negativity is going, gone. Pull the lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And you just rest in peace and stillness. So nothing else to do, nowhere else to go, just breathe, relax, and be still. Find that present moment awareness. Sink into it, observe the breath flowing in and out through your nostrils. And just come fully into the present moment. Just be aware of this presence, this awareness. Which is always there, it's highly present in you. So nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. There's nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, be still, be silent. Come fully into the present moment. And just be there. This is about being as you are. No thoughts of past or future are necessary to be right now. So you can just rest in this being for the next couple of minutes of deep silence. And if any thoughts come up, just observe them again. And say, I seem to be thinking about whatever the thought is, name it in terms of the person, the object, the situation going on. And remind yourself that my mind is just preoccupied with past thoughts. This is just a past thought coming up, regardless of the subject matter of it. It's your past programming that's influencing the direction of that thought. Coming from the past conditioning, programming, arising in response to your current situation in your life. You're responding to it from the past. So your mind is just preoccupied with past thoughts. And you can let that go. So do that with the help of your breath. Just blow it out. Letting it go. Feeling a release. Just relax into it. Let go. Physically, if you're holding tension in your neck and your shoulders, drop that down, drop the shoulders down, and just relax physically, mentally, emotionally. Relax into the truth. There is only the present moment. There is just awareness right now of the present moment. Nothing else is really going on. This is reality. No past, no future. Just present moment awareness. Timeless awareness. The eternal now. And you're experiencing it directly, right now. And there's really nothing else to do. And there's nowhere else to go. Certainly nothing else to think about. Just be in this present moment awareness. Just be there fully. See if you can just surrender completely into this awareness. For another couple of minutes of deep silence. And again, if any thoughts come in, just observe them and remind yourself. Seem to be thinking about whatever it is, but my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. And let it go. Dismissing it as the nothingness it really is. So on the count of 3, just simply coming back to an awareness of the body and the breath, senses, and the world, but very presently. Don't have to go into past, future thoughts to be aware of the body. It's one of the great advantages of body awareness or breath awareness. It's just present. So you notice how the stomach rises, chest rises. Little flow of air in through the nostrils. Pause at the top of the inhale, count to 1. Once again, scan your mind. Notice any thoughts, any related emotions, any related body sensations. You're noticing all of it. Perhaps fully for the first time. Breathe into it. And anything that feels at all unpleasant, negative, limiting, contracted, or constricted in any way, simply let it go by reminding yourself that this is just a past thought. My mind is preoccupied with past thoughts and seem to be thinking about these past thoughts, but actually in my true mind, let it go, blow it out, the breeze of your breath, feel the release. Gone. Pull the lower stomach into the spine, expel the last remaining air out. And you just rest here in this deep peace and stillness. In a few moments. Count of 2, notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair and your feet touching the ground. Notice what you're feeling with your hands touching. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth, a smell in your nose. Notice that. And notice what you're hearing in the surrounding environment. Just noticing all these things from this very, very still, calm, and surrendered state of mind. So you're very present, very aware. You take that with you into the rest of your day, afternoon, and evening. Unfold on this very present state of awareness. So it is, as said. It's down. Then on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. Just look around. So take a minute just to observe whatever's going on, particularly anything that feels negative, limiting, contracted, constricting in your thoughts. Observe that. Say, I seem to be thinking about whatever in relation to something you're seeing, an object, and name it. Seem to be thinking about the object or the name of an emotion. But actually my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. And then you let it go. To be replaced by just present moment awareness. So notice how peaceful and calm that awareness feels. Just set the intention to stay there, stay rooted in this awareness for the rest of the session, in your afternoon. And so it is. Well, that brings us to the end of the meditation and the practice of the lesson. Okay, so just thought we could have a quick look now at today's. I'm going to do the 10th pathway to higher awareness, which is on page 26 of your course manual. Starting pathways 10 through to 12. These are the last set of 3 pathways. So who would like to read, there's an introductory paragraph there. You can see the screen.
Happy to read.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You can go.
Jackie, if you want to read that 12 pathways, give you a
Okay.
complete solution.
12 pathways give you a complete solution to every emotional problem in your life. Whenever you experience uncomfortable emotional waves, you will find that the pathways are always ready to steer you around the rocks into the peaceful waters. Should I carry on? 10th
Yeah,
path.
so it's a nice little setup saying, really this is about letting go of those disturbing emotions and finding inner peace.
Should I carry on?
Yeah, I'm continually calming.
I'm continually calming the restless scanning of my rational mind in order to perceive the finer energies that enable me to, so intuitively, merge with everything, unitively merge with everything around me.
Yeah, it's an unusual word, unitively, but it means you are becoming one. It's that oneness, unitively merging everything around you. So calming the restless scanning of my rational mind. It's exactly the kind of mind training we're doing, isn't it? Calming the restless scanning of the rational mind. So that's the time-bound mind that will bring the past into the present and interpret everything from the in the present moment from the past perspective, which leads to a sense of restlessness. There's never just an acceptance of the present moment. It's always a discomfort caused by the past. It's never quite right. And then we project into the future and we say, oh, well, it's not quite right now. Maybe if I did this and this or this happened, then I'd feel better in the future. And so we never now. We always stuck in the past future tunnel, dissatisfied because of our past experience. We bring that into the present moment, and then we try and fix it in the future. But as the Buddha observed, all desire is the source of suffering, because you keep trying to fix it. And really what you're saying is, I'm not okay now. You keep reinforcing that message that I'm dissatisfied now. So it keeps you on the timeline, it keeps past and future going in your mind, and keeps you away from the present moment, which is the only place you can find peace. Okay. So
Yeah.
someone else like to read paragraph 1. When our wonderful biocomputers are dominated by our addictions. Who hasn't read? Christine, would you like to read first? Yeah, Christine's still around. And not.
I haven't read.
Okay. Yeah. All right. You read, Elaine. Thanks.
When our wonderful biocomputers are dominated by our addictions, our consciousness is scattered and harried. Harried? Our consciousness. Yeah.
You know what harried means?
And harried.
Harried means I'm just flustered, harried. It feels like I'm being pushed from all sides. Let me we'll do a little Google search on harried meaning. Let's see what Google says. According to the actually no my thing's covering this over. That's good. There we go. Feeling strained as a result of having demands persistently made on one. Harassed. So I think we all know what that feels like. It's just overwhelmed, too much stuff happening. We can't quite cope, and we feel like everything's a bit of an assault on us. It's demanding more time, and often we just want to kind of shut everything out and go, I just want to switch off everything, go away on holiday, and leave all this crazy stuff behind. So that's what harried means.
Right. Our consciousness is then like a television set that drifts from the channel, that turns off when we want to use it, but sometimes won't stay turned off when we wish to sleep. That is subject to fading, and that will tune into into only the lower channels.
Okay, so he's giving us a picture of the ego here, biocomputers he's talking about. So like our body's a computer type machine. That's the analogy he's drawing throughout these things. Just defective programming, bugs in the programming, and then he uses another technology device to illustrate it, like a television set. Drifts from the channel, turns off when we want to use it, sometimes won't stay turned off when we wish to sleep, subject to fading, that will tune into only the lower channels. So just really, really variable signal, no focus. Yeah, but like, and this was written before the days of the internet, but nowadays it would just be, surfing the web kind of randomly. Oh, I'll go there. Oh, click on that link, check that out, watch a YouTube video. Just kind of random. I've probably all done that at some point. And you can spend hours doing that and not really achieving anything. Just letting your consciousness be directed externally. No internal focus. The tuning is the internal focus. Okay, so what do I want to allow in to my mind? What am I going to allow in and what am I going to exclude? That's the tuning. In order to tune to a channel, you must exclude the other channels. So there's a focus and there's a decision that comes with that. Which channels are you tuning into? You're saying you must direct your, and uses the word consciousness. We're still talking about the domain of the ego. but you're training your mind, you're training your awareness. So ultimately, you will transcend the idea of consciousness entirely. We're working within the framework of consciousness to do that. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. So what's he saying in that paragraph?
Well, tune into your inner self. Don't keep flip-flopping from channel to channel to find your true self.
Yeah, kind of. That's implied, I guess. He's really just saying our addictions are what scatter our consciousness. Addictions are the interference in the programming. So they're like the bugs in the program that scatter our mind. And we can't focus on staying present. So we tune to the past future channel. That's exactly what this lesson is saying. Particularly about the past today. I'm tuned into this lower channel. I'm tuned into the past channel. And if I allow it, that channel can seem to dominate my mind. That's what I'm then perceiving from that channel.
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, to move on. Second paragraph. Let's ask. We've got Susie. Susie, you haven't read for a while. Would you read for us?
As you lessen the heavy load of addictions you have been carrying, your rational mind becomes quieter and quieter, and you begin to increase your insight and perceptiveness. You begin to have a choice that was not available before regarding the things you say and do. You begin to tune in to the finer energies around you when the precious space on the screen of your awareness is not occupied by the emergency alarms triggered by your addictive security, sensation, and power-based expectations of how the world should be.
Okay, so what's he saying is let's do it line by line. As you lessen the heavy load of addictions, the rational mind becomes quieter and quieter and begin to increase your insight and perceptiveness. Okay, so that monkey mind you were talking about starts quietening down. You don't have those addictions, programming, then naturally the mind state is to be at rest, to be in awareness. So you begin to have a choice that was not available before. Before you were just being run by the program of your addictions. Now you have a choice about what you say and what you do. You become more aware. Your thoughts, your words, your actions become guided, more guided. Tuned into the finer energies around you, and the precious space on the screen of your awareness is not occupied by the emergency alarms. So he's talking about the fight or flight response there. So we continuously, perceiving alarm in our environment, an emergency alarms triggered by your addictive security sensation and power-based expectations. How the world should be. And we get triggered by that. And we can't tune into the finer energies.
You can only imagine how it's going to be like in the future, because everybody's on their phones, isn't they?
Mm,
It's a shame, really.
mm. Yeah, well, the devices are just, being used. It's the devices can be used for good or not evil, but unconsciousness, confusion. So
Mm.
we're using our phones, we're using Telegram consciously to share information and tools and resources and recordings that are helpful. But it can be misused if it's not directed all comes down to the purpose. What's the purpose of using the technology?
Mm.
Purpose gives the meaning. If you don't have an inner purpose that's guiding you, then you will be directed by the external world, and you'll just consciousness will be dominated by the external, and then you get triggered your own internal programming, addiction, security, sensation, and power addictions. So expectations of how the world should be get triggered by the external world, and then you react, and then you wonder why you're never at peace. You always feel threatened. So he's giving us the way out of all of that. And the way you do this, to lessen the heavy load of addictions, you must let go. It comes down to that simple. You've got to let go of those expectations, how you think the world should be. That lightens the load. You let go of the load. Then without all of that going on, your mind goes more into awareness, pure awareness. Finer energies he's talking about. Around you in the precious space on the screen of your awareness and not occupied. So more subtle energies. The more you go into pure formless awareness, the more subtle it gets. You're going into true emptiness, total spacious awareness. Very, very subtle. There isn't any form there. But yet you can experience, there's a fullness to that because you can feel peace and love and joy, a lot of it in that. So it's empty of thought as we define thoughts, but it's full of awareness and of these states of being. Love, peace, and joy are there. So it's abundant, although it's empty. That's the paradox of it, isn't it? Emptiness means abundance, and having a full mind, busy mind. Though there's lots of thoughts, it's actually poverty because you're thinking incorrectly all the time. It cuts you off from the source of abundance, which is that pure formless awareness. Okay, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain it back to me? What's he saying there?
I think you did an amazing job. I'm really struggling to keep my eyes open now, but it's not in the fact that it's just like all this is like it's good stuff, but I find it hard to interpret back sometimes because it's just
Well, I'll give it a go. Just the idea is if you say it in your own words, then there's learning. That's why I asked you to do it.
You did a fab job for me, Jono. That's all I can say.
Come on, give it a go, Susan.
Oh gosh. What's in my interpretation of that is then if you lessen the addiction of the thinking, of the overthinking, your mind becomes quieter and you will get that subtleness of that quietness coming in for you to see a different perspective.
Yeah, very good. That was hard. That's exactly what he's saying. Increase your insight and perceptiveness, so you perceive differently because you've let go of that heavy load of addictions, which profoundly influences your thoughts, your emotions, your perceptions.
Mm.
So cleaning the mind. And again, it comes down to letting go of the heavy load of addictions. The single thing to activate all these pathways that you need to do is to let go. Which he hints at, but he doesn't make it explicit. The one thing that is common to all these pathways is letting go of what doesn't serve you.
Mm.
So it was just one question. What about when you say witness something that's been traumatic and you're pushing it away?
Mm-hmm.
You know, say if it's only just been recent, it's not so easy to apply that. So how would you just let it process?
Well, you've got to bring it into awareness. So there's a trauma, you go into that trauma, bring it up, like with the 10-step process or the instrument for peace, these kinds of tools, so that you become aware of the thoughts and emotions, body sensations, what's going on. You bring it into awareness briefly, so you experience that trauma, and then there's a choice to let it go. In the experience of it, you feeling it, and then your mind can correct and say, no, this is not what I want. This isn't what I choose, and it's not ultimately real, right? It's just past trauma, which is covering over my present, my present moment awareness. It's covering over my happiness and my joy and my peace, and I choose that instead of the trauma. The trauma comes from an interpretation of that situation as traumatic, right? You've got to understand that it doesn't matter what happened, it's the mind's interpretation of what happened. That's the problem. So there's no trauma if the mind doesn't interpret it as trauma. And you might say, well, some things that's impossible.
Certainly appeared that way when you witnessed it. Yeah, it's been particularly recent. I appreciate. Yeah, we all have traumas we witness and it processes, but when it's a very recent one, then that's a challenge.
Well, remember the trauma. Maybe it was it something violent? Someone got hurt. Someone died.
Yeah, it was violent. It was violent.
Violent. So you saw violence in action. So that's what's the thought system behind that? That's anger, attack.
Yes, anger.
Attack, fear, attack, in an extreme form. So really what you're seeing is that thought system projected outward, but those thoughts are still in your mind. And so if you get triggered by thinking now about the past, past thoughts, what's arising in your present experience is fear and anger and guilt. Maybe you didn't feel like you did enough. All kinds of negative thoughts.
Anger and fear. Yeah, anger and fear. That's the two ones that come to me.
So those are primary egoic emotions. It's primary. So the trauma, the ego is using that situation and your interpretation of it to bring up those thoughts and emotions, which cover over your true awareness, pure formless awareness, perfect love. You see that?
Yeah.
So it's still a security, sensation, and power-based expectation of how the world should be. So, oh, that's terrible. That shouldn't have happened. Absolutely ghastly that could have happened. What happened to the victims? That's very, and it could happen to me. There's a fear, well, if that happened to them, maybe that could happen to me. So I'm fearing for my own safety. All of that is expectation, isn't it?
Yeah.
how the world should be. And you're going out of the now into the past, going, oh, that happened. Therefore, the future might be the same or worse. So you skip over the present moment, and now you're in the past future channel, which doesn't feel good at all. You're not going to find any peace there.
Yeah.
So the same applies. You have to become aware of it, bring it into awareness, and let these thoughts and these emotions and the body sensations go. And using a process like a 10-step process that could work. If it's quite a deep-seated trauma, you might try the instrument for peace. You can try practicing the workbook lessons on it. You meditate on it in the morning. You do the theta meditation, use that as the issue. And it's a cleaning of those thoughts and emotions, which cover over the peaceful awareness that you really are.
Right.
Lessening of the addictive load. So you bring your mind back into the present moment where you can experience love, peace, and joy, and just choosing to let go of those past thoughts. Remind yourself you're not really thinking about anything because that past never happened. So it's thoughts and emotions about nothing really, and then project it into nothing. Oh, now I'm going to imagine a future which is completely imaginary, based on a past that's illusory. That doesn't really make a lot of sense when you see it clearly to do that, does it?
It's a challenge, but yeah, I understand what you're saying.
You can just remind yourself whenever that comes up. Okay, my mind's just preoccupied with past thoughts. I'm seeing only the past here. And the past doesn't really exist. It's a memory of a dream.
And not a nice one, of course, yeah.
No, but fortunately, the dream is not real. So the memory of the dream is even more unreal. It's 2 steps removed from reality. Do you see that? It's not even current in your dream. You might say, well, how do I let it go? If it's currently here, well, there you can actually. It's possible. But this is just a memory now, a memory of a dream that never happened, being replayed over and over. And the ego just uses that to
torment
you. Torment you, cover over your true awareness. It doesn't want you to experience peace and happiness and joy. So in the present moment, it's sabotaging that experience which you could be having by bringing in a memory of something that never really happened, and then producing expectations of a future that's completely imaginary. That also isn't really real. Nothing in time. None of our experiences here are real. So if you can engage in this kind of thinking, it's all in these instrument for peace and in the 10-step process. It guides you through this kind of thinking to start changing your mind about it and realizing that those past thoughts and the future expectations are really pointless. Your mind's actually blank when you're thinking this, right? So it's a blank. It's nothing, but it feels like something. But it's not a good something, is it? It feels very disturbing.
Yeah.
To your peace. So is that something you want to hold on to? In the end, that's the decision. Does it feel good or not? You come into an awareness of that. If it's true awareness, it'll tell you what's good, therefore what's true and what's not, and you can make a present choice to let go of those thoughts and emotions. That's all you can do.
Yeah. Thank you.
Doesn't serve me, I can let it go. And the metaphysics support it. Reminding yourself that my mind's really a blank now. I'm actually thinking about nothing. A memory of an illusion, an expectation of a future that's not real. Okay, is that really where I want to be spending my spending my life and spending my precious time and energy on those kinds of thoughts. If you come to that realization that it's just a dream, letting go will happen automatically. You just, you know, like this is just silly. What a silly game that I'm
Work in
playing,
progress, yeah.
tormenting my own mind.
Mm.
So
I
you
can help you,
persevere.
Elaine, as well. I can help you with that, Elaine, actually. 'cause
Oh, okay. Thanks, Aurelie. Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
I
we'll
can
team
help
up.
you. Yeah,
Thank
'cause,
you.
I mean, that visualization for releasing the past is exactly to release trauma, a trauma-specific situation or trauma that I
That-
did this morning with a client, and it's so powerful because
Okay.
it's a process that really release the trauma and remove it completely.
To get rid of those flashbacks, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll
I think,
we'll
I mean,
talk.
I feel really drawn to share this with you and support you.
Thank you.
Good.
Much appreciate that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
you're welcome.
So arrange a, you know, a private.
A buddy
yeah.
meeting. We'll
Yeah,
arrange
we'll
a
have
buddy
our,
meeting.
yes.
And
We'll
isn't
have
it
a buddy
interesting
meeting.
how you got paired up? So that's just how it goes.
You got?
Great.
You got paired up, your buddies. So you know.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah, paired up. Oh, paired up. I was trying to
Paired
understand.
up. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
you're
there's no
buddies.
coincidence. No coincidence.
So
That's
that's
brilliant.
all good. Yeah. So you know, there's a way, and it's letting go. But there's various tools and techniques you can use.
Yeah,
So
so many.
to actually go through a process, because all very well saying it, I'll just let it go, but it's actually a process. You've got to be work through a process.
Yeah, I understand that. Yes.
It's a step-by-step process. Yeah.
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 And what might also help you, I suggested everyone do this. I'll mention this yesterday, but you want to maybe do this forgiveness exercise. Putting your forgiveness in writing. So I forgive you if there's a person involved or people involved who were involved in the violence, you know, name them, which is my projection for
Okay.
or what you think they've done to you or to anyone. It wasn't directly to you. I suppose they traumatized you. So you go, well, no, but you witnessed it. So
yes,
you know,
yes, I did.
Seemingly now you're a victim of it in your own mind. So this is traumatized. So you write this out. All is forgiven and released completely. We are one. Write this out 70 times a day, 35 times in the morning after you wake up, 35 times in the evening before you go to bed. So it'll take a bit of time, but every time you write it, the power of writing is, if you've ever written stuff, it's a cathartic process. You should be aware of it. It's quite profound. You write it out, and it's like you're releasing the emotion in the writing. When you write it out, there's some kind of a release happening on the energetic level of that stored trauma.
Right.
So twice a day for 7 days, that's 490 times. And by the end of it, I'm guessing a lot of it will have dissipated.
Yeah, I think
Probably be so sick of it.
I think so.
You get
Yes.
to the point where I'm just so tired of writing this out. Why don't I just let it go?
Yeah.
That's an idea.
I
So
certainly tried.
that's something that can work. And then there's a whole bunch of, we're going to do this advanced letting go techniques as well at some point. I think we might do it when we watch The Matrix. A meditation to take you through this, but some of these might really help you. So it's all just mind training tools, techniques that you can use to get an emotional release.
Yeah.
Visualizations. So they need only take you, a few minutes at a time. They're not long. So you could try those, one at a time. And all of that letting go. If you really trying.
I like the pop the bubble one. Pop the bubble one really resonates with me.
Yeah.
Pop the bubble. That really resonates.
Yeah, it's like a little bubble of a. If you think of those thought bubbles,
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah,
when
that
you
one.
when you blow those bubbles, you know, those
Or just popping it with a pin.
yeah,
That's what I do. Yeah,
it's
like
like
you've got
so
on there.
insubstantial. It's just a bubble, and you can just pop it, and it's
Yeah, no, I
it
find
seems
that
to have some
helpful.
kind of reality, didn't it?
Yeah,
A bubble seems to have, it's a thin film of nothing really, and it seems to reflect the light, and it's floating around. But actually, it's really nothing. It's just there's just
yeah.
spacious awareness. It's such a tin, a flimsy film of liquid, which is just your mind stuff. So you can just go, pop it, and it's gone.
It's gone. Yeah, no, I did try that the other day. It was very helpful.
Did you? Okay.
Yes,
Good.
it was helpful.
Yeah. Breathing and relaxing, just observing the breath is a natural letting go technique, because you're letting go of the mind. Cleaning the window. So you can imagine dirt caked on a car windscreen using miracle formula cleaning liquid, squeegee of the Holy Spirit to clean the windscreen.
Mm.
Imagine sitting in the car looking through a clean windscreen, able to see the road ahead. Try it. It may not work for you.
I haven't tried that one. I'll try it. Yeah.
Depends on how you wide up. If you visualize well, then some of these might really work.
I do actually. Yes, I've got a vivid imagination.
Yeah. So that might. It's about getting ultimately an emotional shift, isn't it? The visualization is just a tool to shift something deeper in the emotions. Unplugging from the matrix, we'll definitely do that when we watch the Matrix. Visualize yourself removing the jack. Do you remember the Matrix movie? You've watched it?
I'm going to watch it again. I haven't seen it for a long, long time. So I'm.
Yeah, well, we'll watch it together. So
yeah,
this Saturday, I think it's in the program for this Saturday.
right.
We do a Saturday evening, so it's movie night. You can have it's entertaining, but
With the popcorn, yeah.
we'll really unpack it. It's like
Yeah.
scene by scene, unpacking it, talking about it. So it'll take 3-4 hours to get through. So it's a 2-hour movie, but yeah, it will. The commentary reveals a lot, helps the understanding. So you're just like literally unplugging from the Matrix. I'll just unplug myself, and I'm not bound by those thoughts and emotions. Yeah,
That's another good one.
Yeah, that's a very good one. I didn't see that. That's really good.
Committing harikiri with a lightsaber. Imagine holding a star. So referencing the movies, like Star Wars lightsaber to your heart center. Right? The lightsaber, Star Wars, the weapon of the Jedi, the symbols of Christ consciousness. So that weapon could,
they're all good actually. I haven't actually really looked at these properly. I need to look at them.
You probably wouldn't have. So
skipped over and not really took it in. Yeah.
Imagine it going into your heart center and just shattering the base chakra as well, all the way up. It's a column of light. You activate it, visualize it shooting up. I mean, these are all just tools really to get a emotional, and you can get physical reactions from visualization. Sure. So it changes your state by doing this, and that can help with the shifting. You've done something like that. You've changed something. And it can help shift that dark block of emotion that's sitting there, dominating your mind. Imagine the person with Ho'oponopono. So bring the person mentally closer to you. Notice how you feel. Still negative feelings. Do the Ho'oponopono cleaning process. Page 414. It's an error. Sorry, I'll fix that.
Interesting. Yeah.
Oh, there's course manual too. So it's on about page 41, I think.
Oh no.
Yeah. To help you let them go. You can visualize golden or white light streaming down into your crown, through your whole body, giving it all over to the divine source, ground of being, letting go into the light. And you could do all those in sequence. So what I will do maybe is when we do the matrix movie, we can do this as a meditation. I can incorporate this into some of the others as well, because each one is a little letting go process, and it can be incorporated into a letting go meditation.
Great.
Yeah. Should really what would be good to record little 2, 3, maybe 5-minute breath breaks on each one, wouldn't it? Just to
Oh yeah, that would be helpful.
Take you in
Certainly
it
would.
and guide you through the visualization, and then pop the bubble or clean the window or whatever. That's maybe we can do that systematically in the live sessions in the rest of the course. Take you through each one. It's a little vignette, and then each one has a recording attached to it that you can use, and one or two of them might really work well for you.
Yeah, great. No, that's very helpful.
Yeah. So at the moment, the instructions are there in the course manual, so you could just go and do your own visualization. But
I'll look in more depth this time, rather than skipping over stuff. Yeah, good lesson that.
Well, I mean, there's a lot in this manual, and the idea is I'm covering it in the sessions. Go through each of these things.
Yeah,
quite systematically. So if you're in the session, then you get to cover it. Okay, so where were we? Well, let's go back to down here. The 10th pathway. So I think we were at the cultivation of preferences in place of addictions. So last paragraph, who wants to read that?
Okay. The cultivation of preferences in place of addictions does not keep your rational mind chumming and
Churning.
churning. Don't know that word. And scanning.
Yeah, it means churning means like you churn something up like butter. It gets churned to make butter. You churn the milk to make butter. It's getting churned up. Disturbed. Water gets churned up when it's all frothy and it's not still. It's bubbling, and that's churning. So it's a disturbance of peace.
Okay. So for preferences are not sought after goals that keep you restless. Preferences let you stay in touch with the here and now in your life. They enable your mind to become calmer and calmer until it functions as a powerful, quiet, one-pointed, peaceful, and effective servant to your awareness all the time. Yeah, so first we have to let go of the addictions, and then cultivate the preferences to allow the mind to become more quiet, calm, powerful, peaceful, effective, so it can remain aware, or we can be aware of the now, or stay present.
Yeah, so preference isn't too much of a problem. Okay, well, I quite like that, but it's not anything that's going to disturb me if it's not there. Whereas an addiction is, if it's not there, I'm going to suffer.
Yeah.
Craving and aversion make us suffer. Whereas a preference, well, it's there, okay, it's fine. Not there, kind of equally okay. You're rather indifferent. Doesn't really matter. Maybe there's a slight like, okay, well, I do prefer that than that, but it's very subtle. It's not a big attachment. So I quite like his idea of replacing addictions with preferences. You upgrade them because the preferences are. We've all got to make choices in life, haven't we?
Mhm.
Do I choose coffee or tea? Do I like going on long walks or going for runs or not exercising at all? Whatever the choice is. So there's a preference. Yeah, okay, I prefer tea to coffee. It's all right, but it's not really a big deal if I don't get tea or someone serves me coffee because that's all they've got. Okay, so I'm not really attached to it. So it doesn't have power to move me. Remember, if you're unshakable, you can't be moved mentally and emotionally by the temporary experiences of time and space. So preferences let you stay in that unshakable state, not being mentally and emotionally moved. Addictions move you out of that state all the time. So by letting go, you're transforming your addictions to preferences. Or no preferences. No, maybe just drop the whole thing and there's no preference anymore. It's gone. It's also a possibility. There might be something that just really doesn't serve you. Let's say you were a smoker once upon a time. You go, no, that's done. Well, you don't have a preference to smoke anymore. In fact, there's no desire whatsoever left. Just let it go.
Funny you choose that example because sometimes I feel tempted, but it's a preference because I know I'm not addicted, otherwise I'll be smoking all the time. But it's a preference sometimes to just have a, like, even if it's one puff, maybe one puff, but then I don't enjoy it anymore. Actually, I'm realizing that it's like, ugh.
Yeah,
Why do I like this stuff again? Why do I like this stuff again? Like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like a preference actually not to do it rather than doing it.
So so then you just change your mind. And there's certain preferences that will serve you and certain that probably won't serve you. I'm sure. I mean, a preference to smoke rather than addiction is much better than addiction.
Yeah.
But it's still like, well, it's kind of there's something there, isn't it? It's not quite clean. You know that it's not pure formless awareness. Certainly. So, okay, well, maybe that just doesn't serve me at all anymore. Just drop it entirely. My preference is actually not to smoke.
No.
Which is a much easier preference to exercise, actually. That's much you just don't do anything. You don't have to go buy the things, you don't have to get, it's just a preference to have. So
that's what I told myself after this stressful situation I just had, not recently. I mean, I was first buying a pack and see if I feel tempted or not. And then I feel like I've actually diminished, or I mean, now it's like a puff, but it's not even, I don't need to buy a pack anymore, It's like I stopped buying because I know I don't need it anymore. So I stopped buying it. And
so it's a good demonstration then of, you've let go of addiction.
Yeah.
You upgraded it to a preference, and then at the point you realize, well, that doesn't really, it doesn't really.
I mean, I wasn't a big smoker. I mean, I wasn't smoking more than maybe 1 or 2 cigarettes a day, or sometimes there was a puff here and there, but it wasn't like Maybe it was one cigarette a day, you know what I mean? Like it's not a big addiction, but still.
Yeah. So you just change that, and then you go, well, does it even serve me to have one? What's the
No,
point?
exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
It's a little hold the ego has. It's some kind of external, I need that. Well, why do
Yes.
you need that?
Yeah.
There's no physiological need why you need to inhale carcinogenic smoke. Absolutely none. It's purely mental. You know, that's past programming. It's then just got a little hold, you know. It's like just got a little hold in there, and then you know, it might stay that way for your whole life. Okay, it's not too much of a big deal. I suppose one cigarette a day is probably not going to kill you, but
if you also believe that it's nasty or negative for your health, this is what also is going to make you sick. I think you can also transcend that belief that it's going to affect you in any way. Because I know I've seen women who smoked till 120 years old and they believe it's not doing any harm or any damage to their health. And they've been like big smokers. So it's a belief that you think it's going to affect your body because you think it's as you just say, you think it's carcinogenic. Or whatever.
yeah,
It's your belief that make you think it's gonna affect you and make you sick.
I mean, if you did it and you had one cigarette a day and you just enjoyed it and there was no, you know, probably would be fine.
Yeah.
Because the mind isn't playing games. But then you've got to ask, does it really serve you?
Yeah, exactly.
Does it really serve you?
Yeah.
Is that the highest I'm capable of? Especially if you want to be a teacher, you know, not really. It's not really inspiring to people if you're teaching this kind of stuff. I mean, I've seen people who do teach it, and then they're lighting up, and I'm going, just doesn't really gel with me. You know, it's like if you're going to teach this stuff, you need to walk the talk. It's like, you know, be clean yourself. Don't engage in addictive behavior.
Yeah.
So you're not really a good example then of what you're teaching.
I used to smoke. Quite a bit, but I couldn't understand. I was helping doctors and nurses to give up smoking because I'd done NLP and I was doing my coaching. Yet I couldn't seem to grasp how to give up. And then I thought to myself, gosh, how can I do it? How come? But I did actually enjoy having a cigarette, to be fair. And then all of a sudden, I just one day was out and I thought, gosh, I help everybody else. I've got to do it. So I know what I need to do. You always need to find one thing that you don't like about it. And what I hated was the smell. So
yeah,
I had one cigarette and it went straight in and it was like, oh my gosh. And I can remember coming out and thinking, I never want to do that again. And I've never touched another one. So
really?
Yeah.
So it's just a decision in the mind. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is powerful to the point of, you know, I mean, and then when I started doing mindfulness and teaching people mindfulness, I started telling them that you don't really need a cigarette. You just need to take that breath of air because you're using it as to relax, and it's not relaxing you. But no, they just. And then again, I couldn't because I too knew that I enjoyed. You know, I was ignorant to the fact that I really did enjoy, you know, a cigarette. But that's how it is, isn't it? We come across these things and you either want to do it or you don't want to do it.
So when you make a decision, you say this doesn't serve me anymore. You know, there's a decision in the mind.
But you see, it was more entertainment at the time. So I never saw it as an addiction or anything like that. It was more entertainment. You can also perceive it as entertainment like anything else, but it is external. It is a distraction then to your mind. I guess.
Yeah, it was a social thing, weren't it? It was a very, I mean, me, I didn't start smoking till I was 19. So it wasn't when I was young, but, well, not youngish, but yeah. And then when I had my two boys, I decided I didn't want to smoke then, and I was cutting down then.
So it's it comes down to a decision in the mind.
Yeah.
You decide at some point, this isn't serving me. If my goal is peace of mind, then does this serve that goal to be wanting a cigarette. You know, if I have any kind of addiction, it's a want, it's a desire, it's a craving. Does that serve my goal of peace of mind? Not really. So I'm now reliant on something else, and I have to get that something else to find peace of mind again, temporarily, until, you know, the next. And obviously, the more you're on that, the more addicted you get. Oh, well, now I need a cigarette every hour to have peace of mind.
It takes a while though, because I remember with the smoking, it took a while, because you're fighting your beliefs about, oh, you enjoy it, or you like to do it, or you're meeting with others that are smoking and they just offered you one, and
Yeah.
I think there's a lot.
It's
There's
it's always been more a social thing for me, before.
Mm.
I mean, not even not smoking much. I had never smoked much, but it was always a social thing.
Yeah.
Or entertainment.
I think at a point, you know, what you say is this is more important than anything else. This path of awakening becomes, you know, your only function. Saying this overrides everything else. The social, smoking, entertainment, all of that really is trivial by comparison with what Yeshua is offering us.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you the whole deal. You want the whole kahuna, you want total love, peace, and joy for eternity. That's what I'm offering. And that is not a small gift. That's everything that we truly want. And he's saying, I'm just asking that you give up these things that aren't serving you, that are going to hold you back from that experience. Because I can promise you there are no cigarettes in eternity. They don't exist there. So by definition, you have to give them up at some point. If you still want them, then you come here to get them. And you have to come to the world of form and time and space to get these things, which then is that subtle, they call it in the Buddhist teaching, a fetter, an attachment. That subtle fetter would be enough to bring you back here for another life, so that you could have your cigarettes. So it has to be a complete letting go. So it functions, they enable your mind to become calmer and calmer. It functions as a powerful, quiet, one-pointed, peaceful, and effective servant to your awareness all the time. So this would be, in Course terms, this would be the spirit that is now directing the mind. The Holy Spirit's directing the mind. The mind's quiet, it's calm, it's peaceful, one-pointed. That means it's focused. It's in the now. It's like I'm not scattered. My attention is not being distracted everywhere. I can just be very clear, calm, one-pointed. I'm doing this now. I'm focused. And very effective. You know, single-pointed focus is doing one thing at a time, actually. It's what they call it in Zen. It's the essence of the whole Zen teaching. Being single-pointed. So that's what this pathway offers us, and what letting go offers us. And he's saying I must continually calming the restless scanning of my rational mind in order to perceive the finer energies, enable me to unitively merge with everything around me. So I must continually be vigilant. This is what Yeshua calls vigilance. I must be vigilant of my thoughts and my emotions. Be aware of what's going on, which is exactly what this mind training is about. Each lesson is saying, be aware. Okay, what's arising? What are the thoughts? Observe them, be aware of them, and then there's a mind training exercise to help you let them go. Today's was, my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. So a natural letting go when you realize that. So by practicing the Course lessons, you are training your mind to do this, and actually putting it into practice, which is what's helpful. You know, these ideas, the kind of higher pathways, discovering 12 pathways to higher awareness are really powerful, but it doesn't actually talk about practices to help you that. So, practices like meditation, breath work, mind training exercises, these are the things that are going to help you to actually learn these and live in this way. Just knowing them intellectually and theoretically start, but it's not enough. You need to be vigilant of your mind patterns and be able to let them go as they arise. Okay, comments, questions?
No, I've got to go, but thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
great.
So, yeah, let's end the session there then. The evening session, given it's nearly 4 o'clock here, is going to start at 6 p.m. today. That's UK time. 7 p.m. your time already.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's
So
good.
Join us then to do the text reading for today, which is on cause and effect. Very interesting. So it should be.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting.
Okay.
Okay,
So I'll see
thank
you a
Namaste.
bit later.
See you shortly.
Namaste.
Thank
See you
you.
later.
Okay.
Bye.
Jono,
Bye.
thank you.
Bye. Namaste.
Bye for now.